Hi, I'm Scott Hawley. I'm a professor of physics at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, and I used to do astrophysics. But for 13 years, I've been teaching audio engineering students, primarily acoustics and electronics. And I want to talk to you today about absorption. So absorption is the process whereby sound is not reflected back. And so a lot of people these days are stuck at home and they're making home videos. And unlike a lot of audio professionals, you may not have good microphones that you can use either close or some kind of directional microphone, and you may not have built yourself acoustical treatment like some of us had. I've got some slides on when I built my studio, and I'll put that in the link. But I'm making this video for people who are trying to make videos and you're stuck at home, but your videos end up with this audio quality called flutter echo or just echo, and it makes things sound bad because you're using an omnidirectional microphone like from your phone, and you're picking up a lot of room reflections, particularly reflections from parallel walls. And so short of going to Lowe's or Home Depot and coming back and building yourself some absorption or ordering some new audio gear, what can you do right now, stuck at home, to make your audio sound better in your videos? We're not going to talk about isolation, where we try to keep sound from getting in or keep sound from getting out. That's totally different. I've still got a window where sound is coming through and a gap under the door. Rather, this is just about reducing that echo back from the walls. So we're in my guest room. I'll show you my studio later, but the guest room was just bare walls. And I've done some simple DIY treatment to improve the sound quality. And so I'll splice in a video of what it sounded like before, and then we can continue with the video of what it sounds like right now. And there's the kitty cat. Hey, kitty. Hey, here we are in the studio, and we've got absorption in various places. And so you hear that. And now let's go into the guest room. It's kind of a mess. But you can probably hear there's a fair amount of flutter echo here, right? If I were to put this camera even farther away, this is just my phone, right? Then it would sound even worse. We're going to implement an idea from Glen Meadows, which is to put some blankets up on the walls. Just using the door and a picture. Got a blanket on that wall and a blanket, say, on this other wall. Blankets put up on the walls and towels, anything we could find to replace the reflective surface of the wall with something that's not as reflective. Okay, so it's now 2 weeks later because Nashville lost power, and I've rebuilt the room. It's not the same as it was before, but you can see I've got some boxes, some towels, some luggage, just anything that's not a bare wall. And as you can see, it doesn't go all the way up. It would actually be better if I were to maybe pin some things on the walls and there's nothing on the ceiling. So the sound in the room is not ideal. It's a little heterogeneous. So if you're seated, if you're talking, or maybe you're playing your guitar and the sound is like the reflections are all in this plane, it's reasonably dead. I'll show you some measurements in a minute of how the room is affected in terms of frequencies. But if you were to be way up high, there's still a fair amount of that flutter echo that was there before. And so you'll see that in the measurements where there's a little bit of absorption and a little bit of still some of that flutter echo going on. But it's better than it was. And in a situation where we don't have proper pro gear, we don't have microphones, we haven't built absorbers, again, we're just trying to make do with whatever we've got, and you're making a video with your phone, then this helps. So I recommend it. Here we see the untreated room in blue and the treated room in purple, and we're showing the power as a function of time. And so normally this will make a straight line. Right now we're showing across all octaves. Let's take a look at different octaves. So if we go to like 8K, we see our untreated room has a reverb time. It's given by the slope, and it's about half a second. Whereas for the treated room, notice it's got this scoopy kind of shape. That's because the lower part where we've got our absorption has a short reverb of around 0.2 seconds, and then the higher up part of the room where we didn't put treatment is more like the untreated room. First you see the decay from the lower part of the room, and then it switches over. Some of the reverberation from the rest of the room comes in. That's called a double valued reverb time. That's not generally acoustically desirable, but in these current situations, we make do with what we can. Similar thing like at 4K, got about half a second, and then here looks like we've got around about half that. So we've cut our reverb time in half, at least for the first, let's say about 30 dB, which is the most important for human hearing, because we'll go down to 1K and we'll see our reverb time is still about half a second for the untreated room. And the treated room starting to have less of an effect on as we go to lower frequencies, and that's to be expected. Everything we put in the room was high frequency absorbing. Let's go down to 500. So at 500 hertz, we see the room's reverb time of less than half a second. And then here, yeah, we can see this kind of strange behavior. The lower you go, the weirder things are going to get. Maybe that's about a quarter of a second, the first 30 dB or so, or less than that. And then if we try to go down to 250 and below, the stuff we put in the room wasn't even set to absorb any of that. So that didn't really make any difference. If you want to learn more about the process of absorption, there's a great book by Alton Everest, Master Handbook of Acoustics. Tom Rossing has an excellent textbook on the physics of sound. I'll put a link in that as well. And you can come study acoustics or go to the Acoustical Society of America pages. This is actually the International Year of Sound. That's worth checking out. But my hope is, after seeing some of this, you'll get some ideas on how to make a real difference for your audio. Well, the power went out tonight, but I thought I'd still give you a little demo here. So we're in the guest room, and I moved to a place by the window just so you can see me, because otherwise it's completely dark. And one of the questions might be, well, what if I'm recording an instrument, right? And gosh, let's hope you've got some gear for doing that, but who knows? Maybe the power is out and you want to make a video anyway. So right now we're hearing a lot of this echoey, fluttery room sound as we play. Right? But when you bought your phone, probably came with a actually fairly decent mic on the headphones. And so this is a trick that a lot of people are doing these days for home videos. I'm going to plug in the headphone mic, and it's a little longer than selfie distance, and I'm just going to set it on my lap, some distance from the guitar, let's say. Let's say we just kind of put it here. I learned this trick from Rex Paul Schnelling. And so now we're getting our mic sound, our guitar, and our vocals. Hey, I'm back in the studio, and I just wanted to add that if you're interested in learning how to build your own acoustical treatment that you will have to leave the house for, I'll put a link in the description for some slides of a talk that I gave using what I learned from talking to a number of pro engineers here in Nashville and things that I teach my students at Belmont University. Enjoy.